What up, guys? If you've been following along on my channel, you know that this guy right here is seed grown, and this one down here is also seed grown, and it just happened to pop up randomly, so I'm pretty stoked about that. They're from the same batch of seeds, so they're brother and sister, or brother and brother, or sister and sister. I guess they'll both produce, they're hermaphroditic if I'm not mistaken, so brother, sister, brother, sister. If you look, there's a fine purple edge on that, like almost lime green tone. It's not quite a lime green, it's almost a uniform, like a regular leaf green, but it is a little bit on the limey side. I think they're gonna grow real nice, but definitely gonna keep the corms of both of these because now they're really sentimental. This is from seed from my mother-in-law, so very stoked about these, and I hope that this continues to carry on the same pattern, or maybe even, you know, who knows what it will turn into. But to me it looks as though there's that hue being carried onto the veins, and if these leaves get bigger and it's more pronounced, this will look really sharp. And if I'm not mistaken, because it's grown from seed, it'll be my own variety, though I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's how it works. Yeah, pretty cool. And then this year the garden's been mayhem, just kind of letting stuff settle in and doing some planning. So I figured out how the layout's gonna go. Just gonna be waiting for fall to do the moving of plants. A couple of these plants are gonna be going in their forever spots, like I have over there. They're called Moonlight. They're Moonlight hibiscus. So they have that lime green foliage when they come out all the time, and then they have a nice flower. I don't know what color that is yet, but they'll flower this year. I looked at the yucca. It almost looks variegated at the edge, if you see. I don't know if that's indicative of all yucca, but I didn't notice that before. A smoke bush is pushing out some new growth. There was a ton of poppies in here. I just got rid of them. A giant stalk I had to cut off because of the storm and blew it over. And they're about done anyway, so I'll be chopping them down nearly to the ground. I'm gonna do a good weeding throughout this bed just to keep it nice and clean. And yeah, come fall, this is gonna be a total different setup. I might even get a couple bags of mulch in here just to keep it nice and clean. Do something nice for the landlords. And here's my tropicals and rosemary with a bunch of volunteer poppies in the pod. Those will turn into micro poppies, like the little ones you see all throughout here. So this is phenomenal. It's supposed to produce figs all year round, but right now we're just getting some size on it. I've definitely got to give it a feed because it's looking a little bit light in color, so we'll be doing that soon once it gets dry. It's been raining pretty much every other day. This is a tiger panache, one of the plants I'm going to be giving away. It's growing nice. I'm getting the branch out right now going, and then I'll be working on the side branching this way and this way to give it a nice full, almost like a bush-like appearance. Almost. What ideally you want anywhere between, if I'm not mistaken, you can go 1, 2, or 3 main shoots. This guy right here is gonna get pinched because he doesn't belong. And you literally just, with your figs, you can just pull it right off out of the pot so that any decomposers aren't attracted to the pot. And yeah, that keeps your 4 main ladders growing. And then off of these ones, they're gonna offshoot, and it should give a nice full bush appearance. I don't know if you can do more than 4. I know 2 is typically recommended. So, because it's a tree, right? You don't want to be growing your tree in a bush form, because a lot of times it'll just focus on growing and not producing fruit. A bougainvillea, just pushing out nice new growth. I find that if you just keep this moist, it's really happy. The second it starts to dry out, the leaves look a little different. You can tell that it's not so happy. Give it some water, and like a half an hour, it starts to perk up again and look real nice. So I'm a huge fan of this. It's nice and full, variegated. I'm really stoked. Can't wait for the flowers. Some variegated basil. I pinched the top, and you can see they're starting to push out new tops with no spider mite damage on it at all. So all the older growth is going to be stripped away eventually, so that the new growth bushes out nice. I did a hard prune. Everything's close because of the storm. Did a hard prune on this guy. You can see it's starting to bud out. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, 14 buds so far. Doesn't look like these branches have any buds yet. That's gonna just explode with growth. The only reason why I did that is because I watched a video where a guy said that's what you're supposed to do. So fingers crossed that's okay. The tree bounces back. This is a what is it called? Sorry, Brugmansia. Variegated with yellow flowers. Doesn't have any flowers starting yet, but it will before the end of the season. I'm gonna do a little defoliation soon, closer to the bottom here, and defoliate that so that it encourages up here to start branching out more. What that's gonna do is all the energy's going and it's hitting these leaves first, and these are gonna get bigger first. So if I remove them, it's gonna take all that energy that would be going to these leaves, and it'll go to these leaves now. And because there's no spot for them to grow, it'll take a while for them to push out a new node where it's gonna grow from. So because it's gonna take a while for it to do that, this will grow instead and start to turn into actual branches. And if I want to encourage that even more, I would rip the top off, and that stops the hormones from going to the top of the plant. And because they're not going to the top of the plant anymore, they have to go somewhere, so they're gonna start hitting all these side branches, and that'll make them grow more rapid. And yeah, here's Barbados cherry, profusely flowering, like fruits all over. It's really nice. Got a little bit of that moss on there, still doing nice and fine, which isn't a moss or Spanish at all. It's in the air plant family. And this bad boy right here is gonna need a good heavy rejuvenation prune. You can see I've got like a dangling branch and a couple guavas. This guava is about to finish. I want to make a video on that. It's starting to branch out again, so it's telling me that it's happy. I'm gonna let it branch out one last time, and then before the end of the season, before I bring it inside, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to remove it from the pot, give it a good massage on the root ball, break apart the roots without actually damaging the roots. I know it's kind of a contradiction in words, but you're gonna tease the roots apart is a more appropriate way of saying it. So you gently tease the roots apart, because what's gonna happen when you pull this out, because it's been in a pot for years, they're gonna be growing in a circle and it's gonna be root bound. So what that does is it allows it to freshen up and fill out the pot, find new soil, grow happy and healthy. What happens is oftentimes when a plant's in a pot for a long time, its roots start taking up the whole pot, in the sense where there's almost no soil anymore and it's just roots. And because of that, what tends to happen is the plant will dry out super fast. You know, it's all roots, all shoots, a big old plant. Of course it's going to have higher water needs than something that's smaller than it, and subsequently, because it has higher water needs, what ends up happening on a hot dry day or a few hot dry days in a row, the plant will start to lose certain portions of itself, you know, and start to have dieback. If it's, you know, prolonged periods of drought, the plant will most likely die. So we're kind of trying to, I don't really have that risk with this because I'm really on top of my plants, but you know, it's better to keep them nice and happy and healthy and in a state of happy growth. This is something that you would do, I would suggest maybe 3 to 5 years. You wouldn't want to go more than 5. You wouldn't want to go less than 3. So yeah, excited about that. Variegated pineapple's doing really great. Waiting for it to shoot some pups. I hope it's gonna. But you know, it's looking nice. It's pushing out nice, happy growth. Not too sure what those white tips are about, but yeah, not really worried about it at all. Variegated lemons doing really well. Not a huge fan of the storm came in and literally knocked everything down. That's why there's dirt on the leaves. It was like 85 mile an hour winds. So yeah, it's looking beautiful. This is drying out really fast too. So what I'm gonna do there is repot this soon into a bigger pot, very slightly bigger pot, like 1 inch bigger, and give it some new soil and a good feed, and it should continue to grow just this way. Coleus or whatever. Some ivy. You don't want that to trail onto the ground, because once it gets away from you, you know, it's hard to keep it under control. But this one I think is called Frost, and I really like this one. I think it's like Latin names like Helix or something like that, which is kind of cool. And then yeah, this is Cupid Jenny. Also, these are both invasive in Ontario. I have some of that in my garden, but it's easy enough to rip out, but it can get away from you. So when it goes to flower, make sure you get it. And yeah, it's been raining on and off so much. I've brought these guys outside and you can see how much the I guess thorns, or whatever you want to call them, spines have grown. It looks like a crazy hairdo, but it keeps raining every few days, and I don't necessarily get to them, so I'm noticing just a little bit of like what looks to be something fungal, but it's greening up and starting to change color. I think it's happier. This one isn't showing any signs of fungal, if I'm not mistaken, but the bristles, the spines on it aren't thickening up at all. And then this one got wet, and it really shouldn't get wet. So if it ends up rotting or something bad happens, I'll just give it away to somebody or throw it away. I'm not really a fan of this one anyways. I got it because it was $10, and one this size usually in Canada is about 50. Alright, well, I think that pretty much concludes the video. Yeah. Well, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good day.